Hey guys, it's Jeff Noorler again. Last time we did a little tutorial about the introduction to the Behave 2.0 library, which is a library to create behavior trees. We already discussed a lot of it, but there were still some things that I want to tell you, which is the parallel control node. And also I wanted to show you how to forward tick calls to the agent to other classes that you can define yourself. And then also, I think that's it. Before I start, I wanted to show you how to create a reference. I might have gone over it last time, but I'm not sure anymore. Anyhow, as I said, you can create multiple trees. And if you have a large tree structure or a large behavior and you don't want to have a gazillion nodes in your control panel, what you can do is create a reference to each tree, and it will just create you the tree in a single node, and it looks a lot better than when you created everything. And then you can also reference it, of course, in multiple trees. And here in your panel, what you do is you select which tree you want it to represent. And in my case, it's just an example, but I want it to be the hungry behavior tree. And now I have a reference to this tree inside of my normal dog behavior tree. And it's a lot simpler than, create the whole tree in here. Well, that's that. Then I want to go to my vital behavior tree, which has a parallel node inside. And what the parallel node does is, instead of waiting for new ticks, it's going to fire every child whenever it's ticked. So at this point, it's going to fire both childs from left to right still. Then you have a few options of how it will return, like what behave type it will return, so first of all, we of course have the inverted versus standard, which is success returns success if you have it on standard, and success returns failure and vice versa if you have it on inverted. So it doesn't really it might be useful in some cases. And then you also have the step versus instant, which we also discussed last time, but step just fires normally, so it's going to tick normally, and with instant, whenever it returns, it's going to tell its parent, yo, I returned, but this might affect your next child, so you might want to, or I order you to now immediately tick again. So that's step versus instant. Now the parallel has two more options, and that is one child versus all children, and that is also the completion, child completion, and you can either be child completion can either be success, failure, or success or failure. And these three, what it does is, when it's set to success, a child is flagged done whenever it returns success. When it returns a failure, it's going to, or the parallel itself is going to return a failure again after its children are handled. So either one child or all children are handled. And otherwise, if running, of course, it's going to keep running. And if returned success, then that child is set to, or it's going to be set to done. So a child, when a child is done, then it depends on the completion type. It either waits for all children to be completed or for the first child to be completed before it returns a behave type itself. So it's if you want to read more, I wouldn't blame you, because it's a little bit difficult to explain. Again, I will put a link to the author's documentation. And once again, I did not write this library. I'm just creating a small tutorial for the very basics of it. And so that's the parallel. Then finally, I want to tell you something about forwarding tick calls, because you know, right now I think I have 15 to 20 tick types. So like barking and walking around and wagging tail, whatever, just some random dog behaviors. And it would be like one pile of trash if I just placed everything in this same core class. So what I want to do is forward all those ticks to new classes, so like the sleeping dog behavior, the vital dog behavior, default dog behavior, and eating dog behavior. And what it does is, when it's ticking, it's going to search these 4 classes for the behavior. So for example, when I have the tick sleep action, it is going to check the 4 classes that I set the reflect forwards to see if any of their functions, the signatures, match that of the tick that is currently being handled. And if so, then it's going to call that method instead of the core method. So instead of this dog behavior dot whatever. And so that way I have divided all the actions over 4 classes instead of 1. And in my opinion, it becomes a lot more readable. And there are then 2 ways to do so. I did it like this because I have 4 so I have 4 classes that will handle that, and this way it will just look for those signatures, but you can also set a single function to be forwarded, and what you do is you just call the tree. So you have your tree, and then you call set forward tick or set tick forward, and you just have to match first you have to give the idea, which you can call from the behave library, and then in my case dog behavior tree, dot action type, and then whatever action you want to forward, for example bark, and you have to cast it back to an int, and then the delegate to which you want to forward it to. So bark, that would be the default tick. So new default behavior dot bark, and you don't give it like the full function, you just give it the delegate, and then it is going to call the tick bark action in default dog behavior instead of here. And so those are 2 ways to forward ticks to other classes, so it becomes more readable and yeah, just generally in my opinion better. Well, that is about it. The parallel, maybe you should read it on yourself and experiment a little bit with it, because it's a pretty difficult node. And I will leave a link to the Unity asset store in the description, as well as a link to the the documentation of the author. And yeah, that's it. And I wish you good luck with creating your own behavior trees. And I hope you had something, or at least that's Dutch. I hope that these tutorials meant something for you and that you can use them. So I bid you a good day, and well, good luck and bye.